Welcome back to Formula One Bet, guys. My name is Noah Mosley, and thank you so much for watching. In this video, we will be previewing the betting odds for the 2024 Formula One Chinese Grand Prix weekend. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Alrighty, starting off, covering the big news coming out of the break was Fernando Alonso did decide to extend his contract with Aston Martin, and honestly I think that this was a great decision for Fernando. I thought Aston has shown quite a bit of progress in the past couple of years, and also Lawrence Stroll has put a lot of investment in the team, and I truly believe he has that passion of trying to get towards the front of the grid with the team. So I thought it was surprising knowing that Fernando signed a multi-year contract, extending him past the 2026 regulations, just showing that he has a lot of belief in the team, in regards to taking a big stride towards the front of the grid. So we'll see if it happens in 2026, but based upon their progress last year, I thought that looking at Fernando's options, there really wasn't much besides Mercedes, but they're going in the wrong direction. Why not stick with the team that he's already comfortable with and has already made decent progress in the past couple of years? So pretty satisfied with Fernando's contract extension. Up next, this is a home Grand Prix for the Stake F1 driver Joe Granu, and he's had a pretty rough season last season, and not a great start to the beginning of this season, potentially due to his team's terrible pit stops, but also due to his bad qualifying performances as well. And I'm really curious on how he's going to perform in front of his home crowd. They're expecting a complete sellout at this race, and I guess China has never been sold out before in its race history. So that will be curious to see how he'll perform, and maybe he'll get a little bit of motivation, hearing the crowd roar for him, and hopefully he might find a little bit of pace in a track that not every driver is familiar with. So good luck to Joe Granu this weekend. Looking at the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, this is a sprint weekend for the Shanghai International Circuit. Looking at the circuit itself, it's a pretty flowy track. Like I said in my previous video, it's composed of 16 corners, in which the track is notorious for the first 4 corners, where a lot of drivers can take a lot of unique racing lines to overtake, and provides a lot of good racing action as it has in the past. It's been 5 years since Formula One has been back to the Shanghai International Circuit, partially due to COVID and essentially other reasons going into last year. So, but the track itself, I believe, should provide a lot of good racing. It will lean towards the performance of the cars that have a lot of straight line speed. Looking at the back straight has a DRS zone, and then also the pit straight has a long DRS zone. So I believe those cars will be heavily favored here in this track. Stated, this is a sprint weekend, and so I decided to mix up the format of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and give my predictions for the sprint shootout, and then also the actual sprint winner itself, and then I will give just a couple of predictions for the qualifying winner and also the race winner there. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Alrighty, starting off with who I have for the sprint shootout winner is Carlos Sainz. Now, Carlos has been performing at such a high level, and honestly, I don't see any of the sports books having any predictions for the sprint shootout, which is completely fine. But I'm just predicting something unique to happen in the sprint shootout, and we've also seen in the past Max don't take the sprint weekends very seriously. So I think that this is the chance for Ferrari's straight line speed to come to life, and also put on a solid performance in the sprint shootout. So I don't know, let's wait and see. Alrighty, and who I have to be my 2024 Chinese sprint winner is Checo Perez. Now, Checo is at plus 1,000 odds over on ESPN Bet, and I think that this is a pretty good bet, just because I think that Checo could keep performing at such a high level, put it on the front row, and he has shown in the past that, hey, if he can get out in front of Max for a couple of seconds, there is a chance that he could hold a lead. Now, it's not a very good chance, but it's a slim chance, as we saw at Azerbaijan last year. So let's go ahead and lock in Checo for your potential sprint winner. Up next, who I have to be my potential lock to take pole position for the 2024 Chinese Grand Prix is Fernando Alonso. Fernando is sitting at plus 7,000 odds over on FanDuel, and I think that this is a pretty good bet just because Fernando's coming off of that contract signing with Aston Martin, and I feel like that their car might just be well suited around this track. And also, you know, Fernando is the one with the most experience on the grid, and him of all people will know, you know, where the best racing lines are at on this track. Now, there are a couple of other drivers that have raced here before, but, you know, it's been 5 years since they've raced. So, you know, I'm just going to rely on Fernando's experience here at the track, and I think that he has a good bet to go ahead and take pole position. So, lock him in. For my best bet to take pole position is Max Verstappen. And Max is sitting at minus 150 odds over on ESPN Bet and Bet365. Not even going to waste everybody's time. We already know, you know, the Red Bull straight line speed is pretty dominant, and Max Verstappen in that Red Bull just showed that, you know, if he doesn't have reliability issues, he's not losing, and he has taken all of the pole positions so far this year. So, you know, I just don't see the streak ending at this track in particular. So, I would go ahead and lock him in as your best bet. And looking at the race odd predictions now, who I have for my potential lock to win the Chinese Grand Prix is George Russell. Now, George Russell is sitting at plus 5,000 odds over on Bet365 and Hard Rock Bet. And I know a lot of F1 enthusiasts will be questioning this potential lock just because Mercedes' performance here recently hasn't been the best, but I am predicting that they will get their act together here hopefully soon, as, you know, really their performance does come out in the race itself. They're really just lacking in the qualifying pace, and so once they get stuck behind several cars in, you know, the race itself, it's just hard to make up those positions, especially when they're stuck behind, you know, someone like Aston Martin or McLaren that has pretty equal performance to their car. So I don't know. We'll see how their performance is around the track. Really, it's questionable, but, you know, I think with this track, it's anybody's game. So let's go ahead and let's throw a potential lock on George Russell to go ahead and win the Chinese Grand Prix. And who I have for my best bet to win the Chinese Grand Prix is, no surprise, Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is sitting at minus 440 odds over on FanDuel, and it's pretty frustrating, but Max will probably win the race, especially if he does get pole position. I imagine he'll pull out in front, probably pull a 2-second lead within the first lap, go ahead and just go off in the distance like he always does, and probably win by 20 seconds. So, honestly, you know, we're starting to look at other bets to potentially put on just because of the domination that Max is having here. So go ahead, lock him in for your best bet to win the Chinese Grand Prix. And like I said previously, this is a sprint weekend, and so I just want everybody to be aware of the change of the format. So looking at Friday's session, you do have free practice 1, and then you also have the sprint shootout itself, which is different to last year. And then looking at Saturday, you will have the sprint itself in the morning, and then in the afternoon session will be the actual qualifying for the Grand Prix itself, and then Sunday will be the actual Grand Prix itself. So a little bit different to what they did last year, and I believe that this is a good change just because it adds a bit of spice to the sprint itself, just because you have to keep your car clean in the sprint race itself. You can't just do too many nosedives in order to, make it into qualifying for the actual Grand Prix, which has the more points. So, it could be bittersweet. It could be so bad that, nobody wants to even race, and, they all just stay in a straight line. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how the performance is, but what a great track to do the sprint race on, just because we haven't been back here in 5 years. So looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and subscribe down below. But looking ahead, we have the Chinese Grand Prix recap video coming next week, so just keep an eye out for that. But as always, happy racing.